Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be unpacking a pretty fascinating life this time.
Yeah.
The life of Safiyya Bint Huyayy,
Mm-hmm.
a woman whose story intersects with some major events
Right.
in early Islamic history.
Absolutely.
The source material you provided is a lecture by Dr. Omar Suleiman.
Yeah.
And we're going to sift through it together, pull out the key insights,
Yeah.
the aha moments for our listeners.
Exactly. And I think it's important to remember that it's not just about
Yeah.
Safiyya's personal journey, but really it's a chance to understand the dynamics of Medina
Oh, yeah.
at that time, right? So we're talking about the relationships between different tribes,
Okay.
what religious conversion actually meant, and how society functioned.
Okay, cool. So let's start with Safiyya's place in this world, right?
Yeah.
Her lineage is super significant, right?
It is. Imagine Medina, you've got these powerful Jewish tribes.
Right.
And Safiyya is right at the center. Her
Right.
father, Huyayy ibn Haftha, was the chief of Banu Nadir. And her mother was from Banu Qurayza,
Wow.
both incredibly influential tribes.
So she's like,
So she's
Wow.
she's coming from a very, very prominent family.
wow.
And this background, I think, becomes even more interesting when you consider that she becomes the only wife
Yeah.
of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who was originally Jewish.
Right.
So she's bringing that unique layer into the Prophet's household.
That's really fascinating. So you have this woman from this very, very prominent family.
Right.
The lecture mentions that she was just adored by her father and uncle.
Absolutely.
Like she had a very privileged upbringing.
The lecture talks about how even when she was surrounded by other children,
Right.
they would only pay attention to her.
Wow.
You know, her father and her uncle, they absolutely doted on her.
Okay.
And it really gives you the sense of what her life was like before Islam arrived in Medina.
Okay. So we have this young woman, super loved by her family, part of a prominent tribe living a comfortable life.
Mm-hmm.
Then Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, arrives in Medina,
Yes.
which the Jewish tribes had been anticipating based on their own scriptures.
Yeah, they were expecting a prophet to come.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm guessing this arrival brought about a whole mix of emotions.
You're absolutely right. So, like, while they were expecting a prophet, right, their reactions to his arrival were diverse.
Of course, yeah.
Some, like we see, chief rabbi of Medina
Mhm.
embraces Prophet Muhammad.
Right.
Others saw him as a threat
Okay.
to their established power structures.
Right.
And Safiyya's own father, for instance, declares his opposition to the prophet.
Wow.
So really kind of setting the stage for this complicated relationship.
It's so interesting how religious belief
Right.
and political reality just often collide,
Yeah, they're all intertwined.
especially during these pivotal moments in history.
Yeah.
And so Safiyya's story is even more captivating because it unfolds against this backdrop of escalating tensions between the Muslims and the Jewish tribes of Medina, which eventually culminates in the Battle of Khaybar.
Right. Exactly. And this is where her life takes a dramatic turn.
Okay.
So the Battle of Khaybar, significantly reshaped the entire political landscape
Right.
of Medina. But for Safiyya,
Yeah.
it was a time of just immense personal tragedy.
Yeah, of course.
She lost both her father and her husband during the battle
Oh, wow.
and became a captive of war, which is a term that, carried significant weight
Yeah.
in 7th century Arabia.
Right.
It essentially meant, losing your social standing,
Right.
becoming subject to the will of the victors.
Wow. So talk about a new reality.
It was a stark contrast to her earlier life.
I bet.
But amidst all the chaos and brutality that often accompanied warfare,
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrated this remarkable degree of compassion.
Okay.
He treated Safiyya with respect and consideration, which
Right.
at that time was not always the norm
Right.
for those captured during battle.
This act of kindness speaks volumes about his character,
It-
especially during such turbulent times.
Right.
And it's even more remarkable considering the deep animosity her father had shown toward him.
Absolutely.
And then amidst this incredibly complex situation,
Right.
he offers her a choice:
Yeah.
convert to Islam and become his wife, or retain her Jewish faith and be set free.
Such a powerful moment.
What a powerful moment that must have been for her.
And her response is so revealing.
Yeah.
Because it reveals an early understanding of
Yeah.
Islamic teachings.
Okay.
She quotes a verse from the Quran about individual accountability,
Okay.
acknowledging that each person is responsible for their own choices.
Wow.
And I think this reveals a crucial insight, which is that Islam emphasizes free will.
Right?
She wasn't coerced.
Right.
She was given a genuine choice in a situation where she otherwise had none.
So she chooses Islam.
She chooses Islam.
And she marries the Prophet.
Yes.
Do you know anything about that transition for her?
Well, the lecture describes a very simple wedding feast. It wasn't this extravagant affair, but it was a celebration that really emphasized the community spirit of early Islam.
Okay.
There's a telling detail, though.
Okay.
It says that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, actually helped Safiyya mount the camel.
Wow.
And I think this seemingly small gesture speaks volumes about his humility and the respect he had for her, despite their vastly different backgrounds.
These small details really paint a picture.
They do.
But I imagine even within the Muslim community, there must have been some who harbored doubts or suspicions.
You're absolutely right.
About Safiyya because of her background.
You know, even though Safiyya had found a place in this new community, she still faced prejudice.
Of course.
And you have to remember, tribal affiliations were deeply ingrained. And there were these existing tensions between Muslims and Jews. So this kind of created this complex web of relationships that she had to navigate.
So even though she made this choice to convert to Islam, some people may have questioned her sincerity.
It must have been a difficult social landscape
for sure
to navigate.
So this brings us to a rather revealing anecdote from the lecture.
This is a good one.
During a journey, the Prophet's camel stumbles, and immediately whispers spread among some Muslims.
Blaming Safiyya.
Yeah,
implying she was somehow cursed.
Wow.
Bringing bad luck because of her Jewish heritage.
That's heartbreaking.
It shows how deeply ingrained those prejudices can be, even within a community that values unity and compassion.
And it reveals another key takeaway.
Okay.
Even the Prophet's wives weren't immune to societal prejudices.
They were.
It's a reminder that building a just and equitable society is an ongoing process.
Always.
Even within a community striving for righteousness.
Yes, and it's in this moment that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrates his commitment to justice. He immediately comes to Safiyya's defense.
Good.
Publicly rebuking the other wives for their hurtful accusations. He emphasizes her truthfulness and loyalty, reminding everyone that she's as much a part of the community as anyone else.
It's a powerful testament to his character.
It really is.
He saw through the prejudice and stood up for what was right, even when it meant challenging those close to him.
Exactly. This incident wasn't just about Safiyya. It was about upholding the principles of fairness and justice that are at the heart of Islam. It shows how even within a close-knit community, striving for justice requires constant vigilance and a willingness to confront those who perpetuate harmful stereotypes.
It's a reminder for all of us, isn't it?
It is.
To be mindful of our own biases.
Absolutely.
And to challenge injustice whenever we encounter it.
And this is just the beginning of Safiyya's journey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she faced many challenges and triumphs,
I bet.
demonstrating a remarkable strength of character that we'll delve into further.
We'll definitely continue our deep dive into Safiyya's fascinating life.
Yes.
In part 2 of this episode.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, we hope you're finding these insights as captivating as we are.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
Bye. As we get deeper into Safiyya's story, it's clear that her journey wasn't just about navigating the complexities of early Medina, but also about challenging the very perceptions that shaped her reality.
It's like she was constantly straddling two worlds.
Exactly.
Her Jewish heritage and her newfound Islamic faith. Trying to find her place in a society where those identities were often seen as incompatible.
And what's remarkable is she doesn't shy away from those complexities.
Yeah.
She embraces both aspects of her identity.
Okay.
And she demonstrates this really nuanced understanding of what it meant to be both Jewish and Muslim in that time and place.
It really challenges like the simplistic notion that conversion requires a complete erasure of one's past. Safiyya's story suggests a much more inclusive understanding of faith, one that allows for the integration of different aspects of one's identity.
Precisely. And we see this play out in a very concrete way.
Okay.
When Safiyya is accused by her servant girl
Oh, yeah.
of secretly observing the Sabbath.
Okay.
and maintaining ties with the Jewish community in Medina.
So it's like all those simmering suspicions about her loyalty.
Yeah, it all kind of boils over.
Finally boiled over.
Exactly.
And it's a moment where she could have easily become defensive.
Right.
Or even lashed out at the servant girl for spreading rumors.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, she chooses a path that reflects her deep understanding of Islamic principles.
She does, and it reminds us that true faith isn't about isolating ourselves from those who are different.
Right.
It's about finding ways to connect, to build bridges.
Of course.
Of understanding and compassion, even when those differences seem insurmountable.
Absolutely.
Right.
So instead of rejecting her past, she integrates it into her present, demonstrating a more nuanced and inclusive understanding of what it means to be Muslim.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful message for us today.
It is.
As we grapple with our own societal divisions.
It encourages us to look beyond those superficial differences.
Yeah.
And recognize the shared humanity that binds us together.
Absolutely. So Safiyya's story isn't just about navigating the complexities of early Medina, but it's also about challenging the very perceptions that shape reality. It's about finding ways to bridge those divides.
Absolutely. And Safiyya does this beautifully.
Yeah.
She doesn't deny her Jewish heritage
Right.
or her connections to her community.
Right.
She explains that her actions are rooted in the Islamic value of maintaining family ties,
Okay.
showing kindness and compassion even to those who haven't embraced Islam.
Okay, so she's really living out these values.
She is.
Okay.
Okay.
And speaking of transcending boundaries,
Okay.
Safiyya's story is also a testament to the incredible strength and resilience of the human spirit. Think about what she endured. The loss of her family, the trauma of war, the constant scrutiny and suspicion within her new community. It's hard to imagine how anyone could navigate those experiences without becoming bitter or disillusioned.
It is remarkable. And I think her unwavering faith played a significant role in her ability to cope with those challenges.
Okay.
You know, for Safiyya, Islam wasn't just a set of beliefs or rituals. It was a source of strength.
Okay.
It was a guiding light
Right.
that helped her navigate the darkest of times.
It seems like her faith provided a framework
Right.
for understanding her experiences, a way of making sense of the pain and loss that she had endured.
Exactly. And within that framework, she found meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
She found a community that, despite its flaws and its internal tensions,
Right.
offered her a sense of belonging and a path forward.
Right. And she, in turn, contributed to that community,
She did.
demonstrating her loyalty and commitment through her actions. We see this in her unwavering support for the Prophet, her defense of Uthman during the siege, and her generosity towards her brother,
Yeah.
even when it went against the prevailing opinions within the Muslim community.
Right. Her actions really challenged this notion of passive faith.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't content with just adhering to rituals or beliefs. She actively engaged with the world, using her faith to guide her actions.
Right.
And striving to make a positive impact
Right.
on her community.
And speaking of making a positive impact,
Okay.
her generosity towards her brother is particularly striking.
It is.
Remember, he had chosen to remain Jewish.
Right.
Yet she still included him in her will,
She did.
leaving him a significant portion of her wealth.
That's right. It was an act of love and familial duty,
Yeah.
a testament to the strength of their bond.
And yet, it sparked a considerable debate
It did.
within the Muslim community.
Some question the validity of a Muslim leaving an inheritance to a non-Muslim.
Right. They saw it as a violation of Islamic principles. It's fascinating how this personal decision, born out of love and compassion,
It is.
became a flashpoint for a larger conversation
Yeah.
about the boundaries of faith and the interpretation of Islamic law.
It really highlights the dynamism of the early Muslim community.
Yeah.
They were still grappling with many complex issues,
Right.
trying to figure out how to apply these newly revealed principles
Right.
to real-life situations.
And in this case, the situation was resolved beautifully, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Umar, known for his wisdom
Right.
and his understanding of Islamic law,
Right.
stepped in and clarified the situation.
Okay.
He reminded everyone that Safiyya was acting within the bounds of Islamic principles,
Okay.
emphasizing the importance of upholding family ties.
His intervention is a great example of how leadership
It is.
can promote understanding and justice.
Right.
He didn't just impose his own interpretation or shut down the debate.
No, he engaged.
He engaged with those who held differing views,
Yeah.
clarified the relevant Islamic principles, and arrived at a just and compassionate resolution.
And that resolution honored both Safiyya's faith
Right.
and her love for her brother.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that Islam, at its core, is a religion of compassion and understanding, one that seeks to balance individual rights with the well-being of the community as a whole.
Exactly.
It also challenges this perception that religious communities are monolithic or inflexible.
Safiyya's story shows that there's room for different interpretations and approaches, even within a shared faith.
Absolutely. And it's through dialogue, through thoughtful consideration of those differences, that we can arrive at solutions that uphold both our values and our commitment to justice and fairness.
Safiyya's story is full of these moments, moments where she defies expectations and demonstrates the transformative power of empathy and understanding.
And one of the most striking examples of this is the incident where the prophet's camel stumbles. And some of the other wives immediately point fingers at Safiyya.
Immediately.
It's like their suspicions and prejudices instantly bubble to the surface.
It's such a human moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
This group of people traveling together, stressed from the journey. And when something unexpected happens, they immediately look for someone to blame.
And who better to blame than the outsider?
Exactly.
The woman who already stands apart because of her background and her unique position within the prophet's household.
Classic scapegoating.
It is, and it's particularly poignant.
It is.
Because the accusers are the other wives. The women who should have been her sisters in faith.
It really highlights the fact that even within a close-knit community, even among those who share a common belief system, there can be these deeply ingrained prejudices.
And those prejudices can emerge in subtle ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through whispers and innuendos, through the way we interpret events.
And those narratives can be incredibly powerful.
They can.
They can shape how we perceive the world, how we interact with others, and ultimately how we treat each other.
In this case, those narratives almost led to a grave injustice. If the prophet hadn't intervened, if he hadn't seen through those whispers and recognized Safiyya's innocence, she could have been ostracized, punished for something that was completely beyond her control.
It's a stark reminder of the importance of critical thinking, of questioning our assumptions, of being willing to challenge those narratives that perpetuate prejudice and injustice.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to the prophet's character.
It is.
That he didn't allow those narratives to take hold. He saw through the lies. He recognized Safiyya's innocence.
He did.
And he defended her fiercely.
His actions in that moment were incredibly powerful.
They were?
He didn't just protect Safiyya. He challenged the very foundations of prejudice and injustice within his community.
He set an example for all of us to follow.
He did.
To speak truth to power.
To stand up for what's right.
To stand up for what's right.
Even when it's difficult or unpopular.
And his actions reinforce this idea that true piety isn't about blind obedience or conformity.
It's not.
It's about using our discernment, our compassion, and our courage to create a more just and equitable world.
It's about recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every human being, regardless of their background,
their beliefs,
or their social standing.
Absolutely. And that's a message that resonates so deeply.
It does.
With Safiyya's overall story. She lived her life with this unwavering commitment to her values.
She did.
Even when those values challenged the norms or expectations of her time.
She challenged us to question our assumptions, to embrace diversity.
Yeah.
And to live our values with courage and conviction.
And her story demonstrates that such defiance, when rooted in compassion and justice, can be a powerful force for positive change in the world. It can inspire others to question their own assumptions.
Absolutely.
To embrace a more inclusive and compassionate understanding of humanity.
Speaking of challenging assumptions, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on another aspect of Safiyya's life that we haven't really fully explored. Her relationship with her brother, who remained Jewish. Even after she converted to Islam.
That relationship is fascinating.
It really speaks volumes about her character and her understanding of Islam. You know, despite their different religious paths, she maintained a deep love and respect for her brother.
It's a beautiful testament to the power of family ties.
It is.
Of recognizing those bonds of kinship that transcend religious or cultural differences. It's easy to forget in the midst of all the political and religious turmoil of that time that these were real people.
They were.
With real relationships, navigating these complexities on a personal level.
And it's even more remarkable when you consider the historical context.
Right.
This is a time of intense conflict between the Muslim and Jewish communities in Medina.
Right.
Yet Safiyya chooses to prioritize that familial bond.
Yeah.
Demonstrating a remarkable capacity for forgiveness and understanding.
It's a reminder that empathy isn't just about feeling sorry for someone or agreeing with their viewpoints.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing their humanity, their inherent worth, even if their choices or beliefs differ from our own.
And that's a quality that's so desperately needed in our world today, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. In a world that often feels increasingly polarized and divided,
Yeah.
Safiyya's story reminds us of the importance of reaching across those divides.
Absolutely.
Of seeking common ground even where differences exist.
And her relationship with her brother highlights another important Islamic principle.
Okay.
The emphasis on upholding family ties.
Right.
Even though he hadn't embraced Islam, Safiyya continued to show him kindness and support.
Right.
Recognizing the importance of those familial bonds.
It's a reminder that our faith, whatever it may be, should inspire us to build bridges, not walls, to cultivate love and compassion, even for those who may not share our beliefs.
And it's a lesson that's beautifully illustrated in the way Safiyya handles her inheritance.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Her decision to include her brother in her will
Yeah.
sparked quite a bit of controversy.
It did.
Within the Muslim community, didn't it?
Remember, some people questioned the validity of a Muslim leaving an inheritance to a non-Muslim.
Right.
They saw it as a violation of Islamic principles, a betrayal of the faith.
It's interesting how this personal decision,
It is.
this act of love and familial duty,
Right.
became a flashpoint for a larger debate.
It did.
Within the Muslim community.
Within the community.
It shows how even deeply personal choices can sometimes intersect with broader societal and religious norms.
Right.
Sparking important conversations about interpretation and application of those norms.
It highlights the fact that even within a shared faith,
Yeah.
there can be different interpretations and perspectives, and those differences can sometimes lead to tension and conflict.
But in this case, the conflict is resolved beautifully, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Umar, known for his wisdom
Right.
and his deep understanding of Islamic law, steps in
Yeah.
and reminds everyone of the importance of honoring Safiyya's wishes.
Right.
He emphasizes that she had acted within the bounds of Islamic principles
Okay.
and that her decision should be respected.
It's another great example of his leadership.
It is.
He didn't simply impose his own interpretation or shut down the debate. He engaged with those who held differing views.
It did.
Clarified the relevant Islamic principles.
Right.
And arrived at a just and compassionate resolution.
And that resolution honored both Safiyya's faith and her love for her brother.
Right. It's a reminder that even when disagreements arise,
Yeah.
it's possible to find solutions that uphold both our values and our commitment to justice and fairness.
And it's a reminder that sometimes the most profound expressions of faith are found not in grand pronouncements or theological debates,
Right.
but in the quiet acts of love and generosity we extend to others, even those who may be different from us.
Safiyya's story is full of such moments.
It is.
Moments where she defies expectations.
Right.
And demonstrates the transformative power of empathy and understanding.
And it's those qualities that make her story so relevant today.
Yeah.
As we grapple with our own societal divisions and struggles
Of course.
with prejudice and intolerance.
Safiyya's life offers us a blueprint
It does.
for navigating those challenges with grace, courage, and an unwavering commitment to our values.
It's a reminder that true strength lies not in power or dominance, but in the ability to connect with others, to build bridges of understanding, and to create a world where empathy and compassion prevail.
Let's delve a little deeper
Okay.
into one of the aspects we touched on earlier. Safiyya's remarkable strength and resilience in the face of adversity.
Okay.
It's a theme that really runs through her entire life story.
You're absolutely right. We've talked about her experiencing the loss of her family,
Right.
becoming a captive of war, facing suspicion and prejudice within her new community. These are all incredibly challenging experiences.
They are.
Each one capable of shattering a person's spirit.
And yet Safiyya emerges from these trials Not with bitterness or resentment, but with a deeper sense of purpose and a commitment to living her values with even greater conviction.
It's a testament to the power of faith, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it really is.
For Safiyya, Islam wasn't just a set of beliefs or rituals. It was a source of strength, a guiding light that helped her navigate the darkest of times.
Like, her faith provided a framework for understanding her experiences, a way of making sense of the pain and loss she had endured.
Exactly. And within that framework, she found meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
She found a community that, despite its flaws and internal tensions, offered her a sense of belonging and a path forward.
Right. And she, in turn, contributed to that community.
She did.
Demonstrating her loyalty and commitment through her actions.
We see this in her unwavering support for the Prophet, in her courageous defense of Uthman during the siege, in her generosity towards her brother, even in the face of opposition from others within the Muslim community.
It's like she understood that true faith isn't about passive acceptance or blind obedience.
It's not.
It's about actively engaging with the world, using our beliefs to guide our actions and create positive change.
And Safiyya's actions speak volumes about her character.
Right.
She wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo,
Right.
to speak truth to power.
To stand up.
To stand up for what she believed was right.
It's a reminder that resilience isn't just about enduring hardship.
Right.
It's about using those experiences to grow.
Absolutely.
To learn and to become a stronger, more compassionate person.
And Safiyya embodies that beautifully.
Yeah.
She doesn't allow the challenges she faces to break her.
Right.
Instead, she uses them as opportunities to deepen her faith.
To refine her character.
To refine her character.
And to become a beacon of light within her community.
Exactly.
It's a powerful message for all of us, isn't it?
It is.
It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, even when we feel overwhelmed by pain or loss, we have the power to choose how we respond.
We do.
We can choose to let those experiences define us, or we can choose to use them as fuel for growth and transformation.
And Safiyya's story shows us that the latter path, though often more challenging, leads to a richer, more meaningful life.
Absolutely. It's a life lived with purpose, with conviction, and with a deep understanding of the values that truly matter.
And it's a life that continues to inspire us today, centuries after Safiyya walked this earth.
Her story reminds us that true strength doesn't come from power or dominance, but from our ability to connect with others, build bridges of understanding, create a world where empathy and compassion can flourish.
We'll continue our deep dive into Safiyya's fascinating life in part 3. Until then, keep exploring.
Sounds good. See you then. As we wrap up our deep dive into the life of Safiyya bint Huyayy, I keep thinking about this constant tension between truth and perception that she had to navigate.
It's so central to her story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Safiyya's journey was about so much more than just the events themselves. It was about how those events were perceived, colored by the existing prejudices and suspicions of the time.
Of course, especially given her background.
Especially given her background, right? I mean, she's the only wife of the prophet from a Jewish tribe.
So we've seen this play out throughout the lecture. Remember the whispers about curses when the prophet's camel stumbled? Or the accusations about Safiyya secretly observing the Sabbath? And even like the initial hesitation from some within the Muslim community to fully accept her.
Yeah, and these instances, I think, reveal that even in a community founded on faith and shared values, those human biases can still creep in.
Yeah, it's a reminder that building a truly just and equitable society
it takes work.
Takes continuous effort.
It does.
It requires us to be aware of our own biases and to actively work against them.
Absolutely.
So Safiyya's story, I think, is remarkable because she never allowed those perceptions to define her. She held on to her faith, her values, her sense of self, even when faced with suspicion and prejudice.
She could have easily become bitter or withdrawn. But instead, she chose to respond with grace and dignity. Living her truth with this unwavering conviction.
It's a testament to her inner strength and resilience.
It is, and she didn't try to fight those perceptions head on.
Yeah.
You know, instead, her actions, her way of life, served as the most powerful rebuttal.
And we see this in so many aspects of her life.
We do.
Her unwavering loyalty to the prophet, her courageous defense of Uthman during the siege, and that remarkable act of generosity when she included her brother, who remained Jewish in her will.
These weren't just acts of kindness.
Right.
They were acts of defiance against the limitations that society tried to place upon her based on her background.
And that's such a powerful message, I think, for all of us.
It is.
We all have the potential to break free from the boxes that society tries to put us in.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the most effective way to do that is not through words, but through living our values authentically.
Exactly.
Safiyya's life is a testament to that.
Her story reminds us that true change often starts with the individual.
Right.
With a commitment to living our values even when it's difficult.
Yeah.
Even when we face resistance.
One of the most striking examples of this for me is the incident where the prophet's camel stumbles.
Right.
And some of the other wives immediately start whispering about Safiyya being cursed.
Yeah, it's a scene that plays out so often throughout history, doesn't it?
Yeah, finding a scapegoat when things go wrong.
Right.
Especially that person is already seen as an outsider.
It's a classic example of how prejudice works.
Yeah.
You know how our brains try to make sense of the world by attributing blame,
Right.
often unfairly?
And what makes this particular instance so poignant
Right.
is that it happens within the prophet's own household,
Yeah.
among those who consider themselves to be his closest companions.
It underscores the fact that prejudice can exist.
It can.
Even in the most devout communities.
Yeah.
That none of us are immune to those ingrained biases.
And if the prophet hadn't stepped in, Safiyya could have faced serious consequences.
She could have.
For something that was completely beyond her control.
His defense of Safiyya is an act of moral leadership that resonates.
It does.
Across centuries.
I agree.
He didn't just protect her.
Right.
He challenged the very roots of prejudice within his community.
It's a powerful moment.
It is a reminder that true piety isn't about blind obedience or conformity. It's about having the courage to speak up against injustice.
Yes.
To challenge those harmful narratives that perpetuate prejudice and discrimination.
It's about recognizing that we all have a responsibility.
We do.
To create a more just and equitable world.
Starting within our own communities.
Starting within our own communities.
Yeah.
So Safiyya bint Huyayy's story has stayed with me long after listening to Dr. Suleiman's lecture.
That's a powerful one.
We've seen her journey from a privileged upbringing to navigating the complexities of early Medina.
And facing those challenges with incredible grace.
What resonates most is her unwavering empathy.
It's beautiful.
Even for those who doubted or mistreated her.
Her life is a testament to the power of choosing compassion over bitterness, of holding on to one's values, even amidst adversity.
It's a reminder that true strength lies not in power or dominance.
It doesn't.
But in the unwavering pursuit of justice, empathy, and understanding.
Safiyya's story is a gift.
It is.
It's a reminder of the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity and inspire change.
Absolutely. We hope this deep dive has left you feeling enriched and encouraged.
Yes.
Ready to explore even more of history's untold stories.
Until next time,
happy discovering.